At full function, in the height of the season, gardening is an easy sell. The picture-perfect bounties of June, July, and August do more for the hobby than any other time of the year. And while many of us eat, sleep, and obsess over our plants 24/7, gardening fever doesn't hit everyone quite the same way. The best gardens are those that are planned well in advance, which means there's no better time to get started than right away. Conflicting information, a perceived difficult barrier of entry, and content overload, especially at this time of year, no wonder there's some apprehension on taking the plunge. So today, for those of you still on the fence about starting a vegetable garden this year, I got 8 reasons that'll demonstrate it's one of the best decisions you'll ever make. When you go to your local grocery store, you're given the illusion of choice and free will. In reality, though, while there might be a lot there, the selection of produce to choose from is painfully low. That's because for commercial produce, only a select few cultivars are grown for each fruit and vegetable. Save for apples, which appear to have a good number to pick through, you'll find at best maybe 3 types of potatoes, 4 or 5 tomatoes, and possibly a few different lettuces. After that, it's quite literally 1 or 2 of each, even for the most popular vegetables like carrots and cucumbers. When you grow your own, though, no such limitations exist. Dozens, if not hundreds of varieties to choose from, each one more spectacular than the next. Even random seed racks at the local hardware store offer disproportionately more choice than what you'll ever get on your weekly grocery shop. Choice. It really is a big one. And while we're here at the store, you've probably noticed the climb in prices lately. In fact, we're at historical highs for pretty much everything. And unfortunately, when money's tight, the first thing to go is usually fresh produce. Growing your own food can alleviate a bit, or sometimes even a lot, of that weekly grocery bill. This is especially noticeable when you really get going and become more efficient with your methods and just better at gardening overall. Done right, and gardening becomes less and less expensive every season. Even better than saving money, though, is being your healthiest self. On top of the greater selection and variety, which is always good for our bodies, the food that we get to eat will be fresher, more nutritious, and completely organic. Because we're in complete control of how it's grown, there'll be no chemicals, no sprays, and no synthetic nonsense. To truly be as healthy as you possibly can be, clean eating is where it starts. And clean eating is not just better for us, it's better for the planet. The current food system of growing nutrient-poor fruits and vegetables to an unripe state purely for travel and longevity is not sustainable. It's not good for us, and it's definitely not good for the planet. On top of that, just look at all of that plastic packaging. Picking ripe, nutrient-dense produce from our own homegrown plants does just as much for our planet as it does for us. And like we mentioned, growing our own gives us more control, not just over the selection, the quality, and the nutrition, but it also gives us more control over the supply. There is no greater art of self-sufficiency than gaining the ability to grow your own food. Taking back at least some of the control of your food supply is not only intrinsically rewarding, but also practically as well. Every little bit you can do towards this is gonna help, and even just growing a simple herb garden will have lasting positive effects. This is a big one, and I know for a fact that self-sufficiency has really resonated with my community, especially over the last couple of years. Another big benefit of gardening that's not often talked about is just the physical and mental aspects of being active outside. Gardening and just working with our hands in the soil can have many positive lasting effects for both our physical and mental well-being. It can lower dangerously high blood pressure, reduce negative stress, improve your sleep quality, boost your immune system, and even stave off things like depression, memory loss, and certain diseases. Physical activity outdoors is never a bad thing, and gardening is one of the best ways to do it. Growing your own fruits and vegetables, like these raspberries here, also allows you to slow down, take a step back, and really appreciate where all of our favorite foods come from. What crops are grown purely just for their foliage and leaves, and which crops need to flower and be pollinated to produce that lovely fruit. And we can't forget about those plants growing below the ground, forming those amazing taproots that we love. Of course, knowing how to grow these things is valuable in and of itself, but it also gives us a greater appreciation of our food supply and just where does it all come from and what does it take to produce it. And lastly, the 8th benefit to finally committing to growing a garden this year is that it's never been easier. There are so many different levels and ways of gardening to fit everyone's budget and space constraints. For example, starter plants are available nearly year-round, doing half the work for you already if you want to go that route. Also, the thousands of varieties of seeds that are available for us to purchase has never been higher. Nearly every plant out there is ready, just waiting for you to plant it. Whether you dip your toes in with just a few containers on your patio, or you dive in head first with raised beds or in-ground plots, the time to garden has never been more accessible than it is right now. I can't wait to see how many of you get started this year, and for those of you that are already growing, how you up your gardening game this summer. I'll be here every step of the way, so let's grow something great together. Hey, thanks so much for watching, guys. Truly, this channel wouldn't exist without passionate gardeners like you. For even more info-packed videos like this, check out this playlist of garden quickies here. And for those of you that are interested, my online course, Vegetable Gardening Basics, is live and ready for enrollment. As always, happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.